Alright everyone, welcome along Day 5, Zero to Hero. So last week, we had a look, didn't we? Right? And when I looked and we saw, well, if I'm doing these things right, I get a good calendar, don't I? I get a good date table built. And then I've got me dates ready and willing to go. No date times because they're the devil and there's a special place in hell reserved just for people who produce tables and reports using date time. Different date. The main thing though is that once you get your good calendar table, that leads us to the next piece of the puzzle, doesn't it? Because the next thing that you've got to start thinking about is reusability. So let's crack on and have a look at reusability. So here we are, right? Me whiteboard. Honestly, I didn't know if we can do much to show you this, but I'll get some of the concepts down and then hopefully it'll all make sense and you'll start to think through it. So the first thing that we've got to think about, isn't it, is we've always got to have in our tables, right, a concept of like a fact, haven't we? Facts and dimensions. So you're used to the idea, aren't you, having like facts, right, and then down here, yeah, you've got your dimensions. Yeah, so D3, yeah, D1, D2, D3, yeah, so we'll have like calendar, you might have location, you might have product, okay? We'll pretend that says calendar, location, product. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's just rub that out. I'll be lazy. Calendar, dates, okay? So we've got those ideas, that makes sense, okay? And, you know, ta-da, right, day one, basic, your Power BI side of things, right? That's everything that you need to do, right? You can make that like it's a star and then you've got your star schema and aren't you amazing? You're a Power BI developer, the end, job's a good one, right? No. What separates Power BI? Right? And what really gives it the power, what separates it and where you move on from just the Excel idea is you have what's known as the Semantic Data Layer. You go, what? Semantic Data Layer, okay? So what does that mean? Okay, let's think through what actually happens in our estate, okay? So firstly, you've got point 1. Data capture. Okay, so for the first step of everything, can you make this pen bigger? Sorry. Right, first step of everything is to get data, isn't it? Data capture, right? And that's why Power BI starts with get data, okay? So firstly, we have to get it, right? Once you've got your data, we transform it. Okay. So we transform. And that's step 2. Okay. Transform. Step 3 is build. And I'm hoping you're going, hang on. Hey, Power BI's got all that stuff built in, hasn't it? Like get, transform, build. Okay. Now, the eagle eye of you will have gone, hang on, that sounds too simple. Okay, and it is because This here, okay, we can do with Power BI workflows, can't we? Okay, so we're going to use Power BI workflows to do what get and transform. Okay, you build, you're going to build right? These are your data sets. Right now, is there a one-to-one relationship between me workflows and me data sets? The answer is not necessarily, okay? Because we could have multiple data sets coming from, ooh, that's an interesting shape, coming from multiple workflows. Because we have a semantic data layer, okay? Now, your data layer is what's going to make your business move forward. That's what establishes your data culture. So your Power BI data workflows, that we've built shouldn't be built in the mindset of it being a one-trick pony, right? You can turn around and say, well, we're going to have departmental workflows. We might have functional workflows. We might have system workflows, right? The way you're going to build it and the way you're going to use it is going to depend on you, okay? Equally, right? I'm saying Power BI workflows. You might switch. They might become, I was going back to that colour, what was it? Was it this one? No, it was this one, wasn't it? They might become Power Platform. Workflows, okay? You might even go way more enterprise and move into the idea of saying, this is going to be ADF, Azure Data Factory. That's what I mean, yeah. Mind went blank there, sorry, okay? Azure Data Factory, right? And there's lots of different ways, but fundamentally, we're doing the get data and the transform it. So your data capture is twofold. We're talking about it from an analytical side. Where are we drawing the data from? Transform, what are we doing to the data? Okay, and the output from the transform stage is effectively, it's a table of data, isn't it? Okay, we're going to have a table or many tables. So 1 to n tables, okay? Be one table, 100 tables, 1,000,000 tables. Hopefully it's not 1,000,000, because if it gets to 1,000,000, chances are you've done something wrong. But you get the point. Your data processing cycle is going to give you one to many of them, right? Once you've got through that stage, right, and you're starting to build your data sets, right, we could have that one goes there, there, right, this one goes there, there, and this one could go to all of them, right, because everyone needs something like that, okay? So you suddenly get to this idea that you've got our data is coming in, okay? So the raw data is being pulled in, it's being curated, structured, and have tables as an endpoint. So this bit down here, I think, for want of a better way of putting it, is a list of tables, right? List of tables. A list of tables, what would that be? Okay? And already, suddenly, in the process of our short conversation, we've got to the idea that you've got now a data catalog. Okay, and your data catalog contains all workflow outputs, okay, because the points here, right at the end, matter. What's the output of the data, of the workflow, be it a Power Platform workflow, be it a Power BI workflow, be it an Azure Data Factory flow. Okay, all of those, whatever the output is, it matters, right? That goes into your data catalog. The next thing that goes into your data catalog is your data sets, right? Because your data sets, fundamentally, right, the bottom line of them is it's a way of combining those workflow outputs. So if you think through it, you might have, if we went through a simple example, right, of my sales data set, okay, I'm going to have my sales, okay, but then I'll have things like products, hang on. Okay, products. I have people. Yeah. Me customers. Okay. That's really badly written. Right, I apologize. Yeah, me customers. Products, people, customers. Dates. So when do the sales take place? Which allows us to do all the time intelligence stuff with it. Right? At the most basic, that's it. Okay. Then, as we get further on, let's remember where we are, data sets, all that, right? Then I might have, oh, do you know what? We need to do this. We've got like HR involved. Okay, so we get into HR data set, right? All still for me retail business, don't forget, right? Let's move that over there. HR data set. And that's going to have people, performance, location, date. I might have a development data set, like R&D, and that would have product, it would have sales values, location, dates as well. Okay, so what are we developing over time? Okay, suddenly you get to the idea where you're saying, hang on, wait, me sales, didn't that have people? Sales staff. Does that link to there? Huh? Right? Products that I'm selling. Does that link to the product development? Huh? Okay. What we're suddenly starting to evolve and get to is the idea that I mentioned way back here of me semantic data layer. Right? All of a sudden, we're starting to build and link the business together, right? And what you start to do is rationalize your data sets down as you move forward, because the goal of a true semantic data layer is to have one data set, okay? I would say it's like Lord of the Rings, but that's a bit too geeky even for me, like, but like, it's one data set to rule them all. Because if you have one data set that shows all your sales, which is what you're doing, all your R&D activity, all your HR activity, all your this, all your that, everything, all combined together, right? And remember, we're analytics. So my HR data set is far more about people's performance rather than actually looking at everything else. Now we can balance that by bringing it through against the sales data and look at, well, Ross has sold this much, Steve only sold that much, Vicky sold that, right? And we start to piece together exactly what is going on with our business. Our R&D side, we would look and we'd say, well, actually, I need to visualize, what are we doing about my R&D? I'm spending 20 million developing a brand new mouse, right? How many mice do we sell? Oh, right, we sell £10 worth of mice each year. Is that worth it? Is that going to, what's my ROI going to look like? Suddenly you're getting into these true large scale discussions that your business wants to have, which then leads you into your finance side. And I try and avoid talking about finance because honestly, everyone goes like, right, for all it's the same, my finance is very different, right? It's not. They're all the same. Right? How much money did we make? Did we make more than we ended up spending or losing? Yeah, it's kind of it. As you bring everything together, right, you get to that one data set to rule them all. And that, my friends, is the secret sauce, right, that Power BI, that the Microsoft Analytics platform has, right? The secret is you can't do it here. Okay? Terrible writing. Okay? That is where it's all about. Okay? Okay? So what do you reckon then? Okay? Sorry about that, which is really important that we went through, understood those core concepts, because that's what we're doing it for, right? If we're not thinking about that semantic data layer and how we can rationalize data sets down, right, we're going to get drawn in the wrong direction. So when you get a request for a new report, if you're reaching and say, well, I'm going to create a new data set and do this from scratch, right? If that's the way you want to go about it, stop, right? You're probably in the wrong line of work already, okay? Power BI and the whole data analytics and data value and the value add of analytics and the establishment of a good data culture comes from saying, step one, do we have the data today? Is it an existing data set? If it is, let's reuse it, right? And it might be a case of saying, do you know what? I've got 80% of the data in today. I can give you a report by the close of business that'll cover 80% of what you've asked for. The remaining 20% we'll have to do something about to bring it into the main data set and manage it that way, okay? Dollars to donuts, someone's going to go, do you know, 80% today, I'll take it, right? What do I not have? Not a problem, great, right? Because they know you've got the 80%, they can still call you all the names under the sun, right? Saying, well, still the 20% has not been on right there, right? And lay blame at your door, but they've got something that, whatever the big boss is doing to them, they can, here you go, this is what we've done today, the team done it, it's great, but they're rubbish, they've not got that right, okay? You think I'm joking, this is what goes on. Whereas if you didn't, and I'm going to create it from scratch, right? That person is going to be there, breathing down your neck every 5 minutes, going like, have you got any report yet? Have you got a report yet? Right? And you'll produce a report, right? And you've then got, remembering 80% crossover between these two data sets. If you don't manage them so the two data sets stay the same, what are you going to find? Someone's going to go to a meeting one day, quote a number, someone else be quoting a number as well, and they're not right, and then they come back and complain to you anyway. So save yourself the hassle, consolidate your data sets as soon as possible. Okay? Up here for thinking, Down there for dancing, right? So hope that made sense. Hope you'll have a great time. Hope you're going to stick with us. I'm going to try and, well, I'm not going to try. I am bringing this back into Power BI next week, but I thought we needed to do this outside of Power BI, just kind of get that down, get real clarity of vision that I have to be thinking consolidation of data sources from day one of my Power BI journey. If you're not doing it and you're not thinking about it, it'll come back and bite you, okay? So we've covered that kind of whole transformation piece. We're starting to build those data sets. Boom, right? We've now got the idea. So we can now start to think, right, let's build some visualizations that we can then bolt on and keep bolting those into our data set. Yeah, champion. So stay safe, take care, have a great week. Ta-ra.